When God created woman, he wasn't making a mistake or providing an afterthought. He was finishing a masterpiece. The woman was not an extra. She was essential, purposeful, strategic. When God formed Adam from the dust and breathed life into him, he said, it is not good for man to be alone. That wasn't a suggestion. It was a divine assessment. God looked at man and said, this creation needs complement. It needs a counterpart that reflects my nurturing nature, my wisdom, my sensitivity, and my strength. And so from within man, he brought forth woman. Not from the head to be ruled over, not from the feet to be trampled, but from the side to be equal in value, walking beside him in purpose. The woman was created to be a womb for destiny, not just physically, but spiritually. She carries things. She births nations. She nurtures visions. She multiplies whatever is given to her. You give a woman a house, she gives you a home. You give her a seed, she gives you a child. You give her groceries, she gives you a meal. You give her love, she gives you legacy. But the power of a woman doesn't end in her ability to multiply. It lies in her influence. Let me tell you, influence is more powerful than control. A woman doesn't need to raise her voice to shift an atmosphere. She can do it with her presence. That's how powerful she is. We see this in Scripture. Eve influenced Adam's decision. Delilah influenced Samson's downfall. Esther influenced the king's decision to save a nation. Mary influenced the atmosphere with her yes to God and brought forth the Savior of the world. Influence can build kingdoms or tear them down. That's the weight a woman carries. She is powerful by design and dangerous when misaligned. I remember speaking to a young woman once, gifted, articulate, beautiful. She came to me after a conference and said, Dr. Monroe, I don't feel like I have purpose. I don't feel like I'm enough. I looked her in the eye and said, that's because you've been looking outside for what God planted inside. You are more than enough. But you must discover who you are through his eyes. You see, when a woman understands her power, truly understands, she stops performing. She stops competing. She stops pretending. She doesn't need validation from broken people because she's already affirmed by a whole God. But when that same power is misunderstood, it becomes manipulation. When it's abused, it becomes control. When it's buried, it becomes bitterness. When it's forgotten, it becomes frustration. This is why it's critical for every woman under the sound of my voice to return to the original blueprint. Not the culture's definition, not the influencer's version, not even your mother's wound speaking through tradition, but God's divine design for womanhood. The power of a woman is not in how loud she is, but in how clear she is about her identity. Because when a woman knows who she is, she doesn't settle for less. She doesn't beg for attention. She doesn't tolerate abuse. She doesn't hide behind filters or fear. She walks with the quiet confidence, of someone who has been called, crafted, and commissioned by heaven. A woman in alignment with purpose is one of the most unstoppable forces on this earth. And I came to remind someone today, you were never meant to shrink to fit. You were created to stand, to lead. Your presence is prophetic. Your voice is valuable. Your calling is not negotiable. Because when God made woman, he didn't just make someone to help man. He made someone to help humanity. And the world is waiting on you to remember who you are. The most dangerous thing in life is not a broken body. It is a broken identity. And one of the greatest tragedies we face today is not that women are bad, but that many have been broken and never healed. You see, the enemy doesn't destroy by force. He destroys by deception. He whispers lies into the soul until those lies become labels. And if you wear a label long enough, you begin to live it like it's truth. Some of the women who are labeled bad by society, by men, or even by the church are not bad at all. They are misunderstood, mishandled, misguided. A woman who was never seen as a child grows into a woman who demands attention at any cost. A woman who is used learns to use others as a shield. A woman who is never taught her worth will try to earn it in every relationship. Every outfit, every post, every performance. The danger is not in what happened to her. The danger is when she begins to believe that what happened defines her. That's the real warfare. Identity. The moment a woman no longer knows who she is, she becomes a stranger to herself and a weapon to others. We say it all the time. Pain wearing lipstick, trauma in high heels, insecurity covered in glam and applause. Society celebrates the surface while the soul is silently bleeding. And what we call confidence is sometimes just a carefully curated performance to survive a world that only rewards the fake version. The authenticity is what I potentiality. It's a root of false behavior. When identity is distorted, character gets compromised. And when character is compromised, destiny is delayed. That's why the enemy attacks women from birth. Because he knows that when a woman walks in alignment, everything around her shifts. So he plants seeds early. Rejection, molestation, abandonment, betrayal. Things that fracture the soul and cause her to question her worth. And once the foundation is cracked, everything built on it begins to lean. I remember speaking to a woman who was loud, aggressive, and constantly defensive. She would interrupt people, dominate conversations, and push people away. But when I asked her to be silent and honest for a moment, she broke down and said, I just don't want to be hurt again. You see, behind every sharp tongue is a soft wound. Behind every controlling spirit is a frightened little girl who doesn't want to be disappointed again. And this is what we must understand. The woman you see in public may not be the woman she is in private. The public display is often a mask. The survival instinct that says, if I don't look strong, they'll take advantage of me. If I don't stay in control, I'll get broken again. But here's the revelation. You were never created to live from pain. You were created to live from purpose. Your pain is part of your story, but it is not your name. It is not your title. It is not your identity. You don't have to live out what hurt you. You can live out what he healed in you. The issue isn't bad women. The issue is lost women. And more dangerously, women who are lost but think they are found. Because being successful does not mean you are aligned. Being praised does not mean you are whole. Many women are functioning while fractured, speaking while bleeding. That's why we must return to truth, real truth, not what culture sells, not what media defines, not what pain whispered, but what God declared from the beginning. You are not your trauma. You are not your mistake. You are not the name they gave you. You are who I called you to be. Until a woman confronts the distorted image she's carrying, she will continue to live out patterns that don't belong to her divine destiny. She's not bad. She's just forgotten who she is. And when you forget who you are, you'll accept what you were never meant to tolerate. There are always signs, indicators that reveal the posture of a woman's heart, the state of her identity, and the alignment of her soul. You don't need to be prophetic to see them. You just need to pay attention. Because behavior is the echo of belief. And the signs a woman shows are not just habits. They are symptoms of something deeper. A woman doesn't just act out. She reflects what has taken root inside her. A misaligned woman, a woman who has drifted from her true identity, begins to carry signs that, if left unchecked, can sabotage her relationships, her future, and even her spiritual destiny. And these signs don't show up all at once. They often grow slowly until they become patterns, until the patterns become character, and the character starts building a life she was never meant to live. One of the clearest signs is the use of manipulation instead of influence. Influence is a sacred gift given to a woman by God. Influence is about inspiring, empowering, and elevating those around her. But when insecurity takes over, that influence becomes corrupted. It turns into control. She starts playing emotional games, using silence as punishment, seduction as leverage, and words as weapons. Not because she is evil, but because she's trying to secure something she doesn't believe she naturally deserves. Another sign is lust disguised as love. When a woman has not encountered the real love of the Father, she will settle for attention and call it affection. She begins to trade pieces of herself for moments of validation, convincing herself that being wanted is the same as being valued. But lust takes, it never gives. Lust drains her soul and leaves her emptier after every connection. And over time, her body becomes a battleground for her self-worth. Then there's competition, though there should be companionship. A woman who hasn't healed begins to see other women as threats instead of sisters. She sizes them up. She tears them down. She walks into a room and starts comparing instead of connecting. But that kind of competition is rooted in scarcity, the belief that there isn't enough space for every woman to shine. And yet, a healed woman knows that someone else's beauty, someone else's success, someone else's voice doesn't diminish hers. It actually affirms the abundance of God. Another powerful sign is when bitterness is dressed up as boldness. The world claps for the loud woman, the aggressive woman, the woman who says it like it is. But sometimes that boldness isn't strength. It's a shield. It's bitterness trying to wear confidence like a mask. True strength doesn't need to shout. It stands in silence, rooted in grace. Bitterness, on the other hand, will contaminate every relationship. It makes a woman suspicious, guarded, hard to love, and hard to lead. And yet the world rewards that brokenness, calling it independence. And finally, there's the sign of insecurity, wrapped in beauty. She looks flawless. She moves like she owns the room. But inside, she doubts everything. She changes for approval. She dresses for applause. And she fears rejection more than she fears disobedience to God. She becomes addicted to the mirror, addicted to comments, addicted to performance. Her sense of self becomes tethered to the opinions of people who don't even know her soul. These signs are not just behavioral. They are spiritual indicators. They tell us where a woman has misplaced her value, where she's become disconnected from her Creator, where the enemy has planted lies and called them truth. And if these signs are not recognized, they become the silent architects of destruction. And the most dangerous thing about these signs is that they can become normalized. In today's culture, we celebrate toxicity as empowerment. We call dysfunction just my personality. We baptize brokenness in slogans like, I don't need anyone. I'm better off alone. I'm just protecting my peace. When in reality, many are just protecting their pain. A woman misaligned with God's design is not just hurting herself, she's affecting everything and everyone she touches. Because a woman's spirit sets the tone of her environment. She is the thermostat of her home, her relationships, her business, her ministry. And when she is off center, the atmosphere becomes chaotic. But here's the truth that needs to be spoken in love. Recognizing the signs is not condemnation, it is invitation. An invitation to heal, to return, to realign. Because God never exposes what He doesn't plan to redeem. He reveals so He can restore. These signs are not your identity. They are alerts from heaven calling you home.